Dane, you have said and put information on the website that ultraviolet type C waves are making it to the surface of the Earth, and that had not been the case in the past. Can you explain that to us? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, that's another form of cover-up. That by itself is an extremely near-term existential threat. Climate engineering operations are destroying the ozone layer. We've been told it's hairspray cans, hairspray aerosols. Is that a problem? Yes, but an absolutely minuscule problem in comparison to the climate engineering elephant in the equation. Not just the oxidative particles being dispersed in the atmosphere, but the frequency transmissions used to manipulate those particles also breaking down the ozone layer. Every single rocket launch does the same. There's many factors here, but climate engineering is the biggest by far. It's known that this would happen when they deployed, and they have 80 years ago. So we're metering UVC, again, part of the cover-up that's been so systematically built in for so many decades. The UV readings we get, Mary and Clayton, the official UV readings are completely fictitious. They only meter down to 300 nanometers, which is half the UVB spectrum, none of the UVC spectrum, so you can't disclose what you're not even metering for, can you?
UVC refers to a specific ultraviolet wavelength. UVC is ultraviolet light using wavelengths in the C range. The ultraviolet spectrum falls in between the visible light and X-ray on the electromagnetic spectrum. The ultraviolet spectrum is divided into categories of strength, which are determined by the wavelengths measured in nanometers. The three categories of UV are UVA, UVB, and UVC. Shorter wavelengths have more energy and thus are stronger. UVC has the energy to disinfect and destroy pathogens of all types, including viruses, bacteria, spores, and other microorganisms. UVC can be further subdivided into germicidal UV, far UVC, and vacuum UV.
So we're getting UVC in the surface. That's a DNA damaging spectrum. It's killing plankton, it's killing insects, insect populations globally down 80 to 90% right now. If the insect populations can't make it, how long do we think we're going to be here? It's affecting crops, forestry, everything. We cannot live without a functional ozone layer, and it is perilously near functional collapse right now.
Thanks, Dane. So Clayton, can you speak to this at all about sort of the issues around UVC light and sort of in general the issues of sun exposure before and after geoengineering? Maybe you can tell us a little bit about sunscreen or what people might be thinking about in this space.
When we look at a lot of the sun protection, whether it's sunglasses, whether it's sunscreen, whatever, a lot of that is really directed toward UVA and B. And so, the issues of us getting UVC and that other segment of the spectrum, UVB radiation, and we don't even oftentimes know that we're getting it, is something I'd really have to look into more. I can say that Dane's recent post on X was a big hit. It got about 1 million views when he was commenting on this, and I think that it really is something that people can identify with at a personal level. As we, that in a lot of cases the sun just feels different than it used to. It feels like even if it's 70 degrees where I'm at, the sun feels like it's just beating down on you in a way that it didn't even a few years ago. I would ask Dane a real quick question: is the sulfur compounds, is that would you say that's the single greatest geoengineering attack on the ozone layer, or is it the entire spectrum of what's being done?
There's many other oxidative particles as well, and again, given that peer-reviewed science study, published study, is implicating coal fly ash as a base material for these operations. So there's many elements there that are oxidative to the ozone layer. And again, the frequency transmissions, can't stress that enough. People that are correctly focused on the dangers of communications frequency transmissions, we hope also focus on the climate engineering frequency transmissions, which are 10 times or more stronger than the communications transmissions. And now we have another layer of that. As methane is building up in the atmosphere, and that's blamed on cow flatulence, again, to polarize populations and take their eye off the bigger problems, which are methane blowouts in the Arctic tundra area, seafloor, These are formerly frozen methane hydrate and clathrate fields that are literally exploding. In the case of the tundra, it explodes right into the atmosphere, it migrates through the air column, starts to spread out and cover the planet like a layer of glass. Seafloor blowouts are much larger still. This is the Bermuda Triangle scenario. That's why ships have been sinking for so many decades. Seabed methane deposits are thawing and releasing as they explode into the water column. It aerates that water column like a bottle of champagne. Any surface vessel above that has no buoyancy. It sinks to the bottom intact. Then it migrates into the air column, again, covering the planet like a layer of glass, trapping even more heat. And now they're microwaving the atmosphere with projects. There's two projects we know of, Project Lucy and Project Alamo. Those are acronyms for microwaving the atmosphere with opposing frequencies in the desperate and unimaginably dangerous attempt to molecularly degrade some of that methane. What's that doing to what's left of the ozone layer? Based on our readings with what was probably the world's top expert, he just passed away, but he worked for geoengineeringwatch.org, state-of-the-art equipment, 30% of the ozone layer remaining, not 30% gone, 30% remaining. Ponder that. And again, the frequency transmissions and the oxidative aerosols, biggest single factor in that equation.
Dane, do you want to give us any closing words, and then I'll come to you, Clayton?
I'm grateful to CHD for their voice, and grateful to Clayton for his voice and focus on how dangerous these particles are in our air column. And again, it's a team effort to sound the alarm. We need to sound the alarm. The only way forward in this fight is to reach a critical mass of awareness so that those participating, including our military brothers and sisters, understand they're literally participating in their own demise. We would argue that's the only way we can stop this. No administration, including this one, has done anything but try to cover this issue up. It's up to us.
Thanks, Dane. Clayton?
I would agree with him. I think it has to come from the grassroots. We have to say this has to stop. It has to stop now. I'm a bit encouraged by, I think, what seems to be an increase in awareness. I think that, and I do see, even though I think Dane is right, that administration is not going to stop this. We're going to have to make them stop. We're going to have to insist that they stop. That said, I do see at least some openings where this is being acknowledged, whereas it was completely denied in the past. So I do see progress. Is it going to be fast enough? I don't know. I think we all have to work.